All right. Well, it's good to see familiar faces. It was cool. Today's conversation is going to be rather pertaining to a lot of sports in different aspects. But Coach Pat, I can see her. And if you guys didn't notice what AJ has done, he's her bowler that she put on 0 in, and I think on the rest of the Trinity. But Pat, has it been a month that he went from never winning on tour to winning his first event, bowling a perfect game, getting invited to go to the Pan Am Games, and winning the Pan Am Games?
He won the Pan Am Games too with the perfect game. He's on fire, but he's becoming a daddy now, so that is making him also bowl, of course, better. But he's totally hooked with Sarah, and he loves it.
Oh, that is so cool.
He loves it.
So he's like, look, guys, here's how this is going to play out now. You put me in a championship game, I'm only going to be perfect.
That's right.
Everything we talked about, it's like, look, it's all repetition. You know how to throw a strike. It's like,
yeah.
okay, 12 in a row now that all the pressure's on you. Okay, keep the party going.
Yeah, it is amazing what he's doing at the moment.
So, this is the cool part of understanding the importance of creating greatness, right? The focus that we take a lot of times is all about health. And I know that it's part of our nature to try to help those that need the most help, right? Those that are sick. But you really have to understand that a lot of times those that actually can benefit the most and you can have the most impact with are actually people that already think that they're doing well. Right. And it's so important to learn and accept that there's a level of performance that God's put within us that we've not touched yet. And it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how good you are at what you do. I'll give you an example in this. I have not one, but two now opera singers that I've had gargle with clean slate. Now, if you're a singer, you can test this theory. There's two parts to this. But with the opera singers, what I've had them do is take like 5 drops of clean slate, put it in a little water, and before they swallow it, because you want to take it, I have them gargle. So they'll focus on their vocal cords for like 30 seconds. So you're actually getting the concentration of clean slate to focus on the detoxification or the delivery of bioavailable silica, which happens to strengthen your vocal cords, which is also very important if you're a performer in recovery. One of them, when I did this a while ago, gained a 5th octave in 60 days. Now, if you're a performer and you understand that vocals are important, going from 4 octaves to 5 octaves, well, that makes you elite. The other woman, she's already an elite performer, but after the first day, she texted me back. She's like, I'm already seeing improvements in my upper vocal range. This is insane. And so the other part to that is taking 0 in before performances allows you to perform like you've never performed before in your life, which is kind of cool. Right? So you can be the best at what you do. We will make you better. It's like BASF used to be, right? We don't make all these things. We just make all these things better. So let me see if I can find Roger. Roger, are you here yet? Let me see.
Clayton.
Nurse Christie's here, though. There we go. She's got her hat on. I was really concerned about these hats. You know what? Let's chat. Did you put your picture in the chat yet, or did
somebody did it for me? I'm not sure who WS is, but thank you for doing that for me. I just was gonna chime in because after I heard you the first time talking about the singers, I have a singer on my platform, and she sings the national anthem every evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, and her range has improved. I would say within a week or two, definitely her range.
How cool is that? Is she popping a zero in before at like 5:45 every night?
No, because it's almost bedtime for her. It's like 9. She's
Well, she needs to understand that if you put your intention into performing and then you shift your intention into sleeping, she's going to knock it out of the park every night, and then she's going to sleep like she's in a coma.
okay. I will tell her.
And this is actually the perfect transition that we'll get into as far as the brain aspects of why we want to do this. So let me find Roger here. Or if I can't find Roger, I am going to take over this conversation. What do you think? Yeah, I'm sitting here talking to a bunch of people on Zoom, and John Hayden comes in and goes, "You on the ambassador call?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just talking in the screen with no one." Yeah.
I don't think Roger's here, Clay.
Okay, so I'm going to take over for Roger. Yeah, you're going to want to hear this.
Well, that's what I was saying.
So come sit here.
I want to hear, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, me doing Zoom and ambassador training, John Hayden's in the house. So Nurse Christie provided the opportunity to provide the perfect segue into what I wanted to hit on today. I can't use names. I can't use the name of the club, but suffice it to say, there's a professional sports team that plays hockey in Switzerland that is collaborating with us due to one of our ambassadors. So Roger's not here, but Roger and Yelena. And it took him a year, right, to develop this relationship and actually create the collaboration. But we have a professional hockey team in Zurich, the professional hockey team in Zurich, apparently, that is doing what Coach Pat has done with the basketball team and others, where they're using the products and they're going to be promoting the use of the products in all their home games. And they're probably just going to start destroying everybody and probably set scoring records and, win their league title and absolutely destroy people, which will be absolutely entertaining. And I get a jersey, which is actually what I want. Coach Pat, can you get AJ to send me a jersey too? Because I need something with a Root logo, because we actually have a bowling team that we're going to start. And actually, if I need a ringer, I'm calling him.
I try my best.
We're trying to be as terrible as possible, but if we really want to just screw with people, like, hey, we brought a friend, and it's like all he's going to do is just rack up 300 games, and like, it's fine. My score with him.
Know.
Yeah, if we combine as teammates, we will combine for 378 points.
Okay.
Actually, I'm pretty good for about 110. But the one thing that we've talked about so often is brain health, right? And if you've been here for a little bit, you've heard me talk about the aspects of CTE and chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And it's a big thing in the military. It's a big thing in accidents. It's also a big thing in sports with concussions. And you've also maybe heard me talk about the original form of CTE, because there are two forms. The one people are familiar with is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. So brain injury, or the complications of a brain injury from impact. Could be a car accident, could be a helmet hit in a sport where you wear a helmet. It could be and that applies to hockey, it applies to American football, other sports. It could be just getting rocked in something where you get whiplash and your brain sloshes around in the synovial fluid of your skull. And it's important to understand this process, because a concussion is not a brain injury, it's shock, right? That takes place. If there's truly a brain injury that takes place, just like in a car accident, you'll die. Pretty period. So we have to look at what the primary definition of CTE is and how it applies into sports, into concussions, but also into other aspects of life, like Alzheimer's, dementia, ALS, Parkinson's. The original and primary definition of CTE is chronic toxic encephalopathy. So in understanding these pathways, you have to go through what we already know and understand, that the brain is loaded with neurotoxins, mercury, lead, and aluminum primarily. Glyphosate now, lots of fungus because of the metals, and this is where all this chaos starts. But these three metals, primarily mercury, lead, and aluminum, will be stored in the brain in different areas. And over time, as they amalgamate and build up in our bodies and in your brain, they will create an amyloid plaque. This plaque is what disrupts brain processing. They call it tau, T-A-U. That buildup of tau or plaque is where dementia, Alzheimer's, everything comes from. So the true clinical definition, if we were doing the doctor's call today about this, the true definition of Alzheimer's and dementia is actually CTE. It's chronic toxic encephalopathy. I'm not a doctor. Why do I know more than they do? So here's what we know. That if you're able to clean up the brain can heal because it's part of us. So how do you clean up the brain? Well, cleaning up the brain is not through the blood-brain barrier, right? And that's what everybody wants to talk about, right? Is you hear all these other supplement companies and people trying to sell stuff, and they're like, does it cross the blood-brain barrier? No, you actually don't want to cross the blood-brain barrier. What you want to do is activate the brain's process for true detoxification, which, as we know, because we've talked about it here, is the glymphatic system. So how do you activate the glymphatic system? Well, one, and this is why there's a trinity. One, you have to clean up the pineal gland and recrystallize the pineal gland. So this is the two-step process of clean slate. Clean slate, because of the fragments, is going to grab onto the fluoride and the other heavy metals and work to remove those really quickly, but simultaneously is going to deliver the trace minerals. But the key component that is on the label of clean slate that makes it so special, the silica. So while it's grabbing onto the bad stuff, it's delivering the trace minerals, it's also delivering the bioavailable silica that your body needs, that your pineal gland needs to actually recrystallize or amplify the crystals, the little crystals that are inside your pineal gland that resonate with light. Kind of important. So you start this process, and we know from what we've seen that these little fragments for detoxification support will actually get into your lymphatic system. And by getting into your lymphatic system, that means they can get into glymph, which is the lymphatic extension of the brain that is only activated during deep REM sleep. So how do you get into deep REM sleep? Well, you have to take care of your gut, because your gut, your heart, and your brain are all connected through your vagus nerve. So Restore is going to take care of the gut. We know that. But then we get into the point that Nurse Christy was just talking about. What does the pineal gland need to create melatonin and get you to sleep? Well, it needs serotonin. So when you take a little zero in is going to boost your endogenous, so your natural production of dopamine and serotonin and norepinephrine in your gut, that your intention This is what's so important about this process. This is all intention controlled. It's not a physical process alone. It's a mental process. You control, you create your world. This is the beautiful part of the ascension process. We have so many people that understand the spiritual side, or are working to understand the spiritual side of what we are, as well as understanding the physical aspects of what we are. And they are like this, right? Because we are spiritual beings. Regardless of what religion, regardless of what spiritual basis you might have, everything goes back to this same premise. We are light. Every cell that we have is a little ball of light. There's 3 trillion of them. That means if you have 3 trillion little balls of light, you could think of them like stars. That means this entire system is its own universe. Our goal is to perfect this universe. So with this, once you start to clean up the mechanism, you start to clean up the planet, you clean up your universe, you get everything lined up properly, you take a little zero in. The zero in is going to allow your body to produce dopamine and serotonin and some of the other, norepinephrine as you desire. So when you're competing, and the aspect of competition is something that's unique. We compete every day. We compete against time. We compete against life because we have things that we have to do every day. Some of those things might be cleaning the house, making the bed, taking the trash out, making sure the dogs get to go for a walk. Dogs are fed, kids take care of everything, the 357,000 things that women do every day, right? That are taking care of a family. That's competition. But then you have performance. Are you an athlete? Are you training? Are you a performer of any aspect? Dopamine is the most powerful mechanism we have. It's the reason that most drugs, things like cocaine, are illegal in sports, because they synthetically and artificially, and very terribly actually, will boost dopamine. But what if you're able to control your production of dopamine and have it on demand? This is what Zero In's doing. But then something unique happens, though, because if you want to rest, if you want to meditate, or when it's time to go to sleep, your brain knows what it wants. Your gut knows what to provide what your brain wants, as long as it has the ability to do it. So you don't want dopamine, you get less dopamine, you get more serotonin. And this shift is done like that because that's how our brain and our intention works. We control this process. It is the hardest thing for people to accept, as I've talked to people about taking Zero In later in the day, because they fear not being able to sleep, because they won't be able to go to sleep. But your ability to rest and your ability to shut down is solely on your own intention. Now, if you want to stay up and do a bunch of stuff and not go to sleep, and you've taken a Zero In, you won't go to bed, because your intention is to not go to bed. But if your intention is to go to sleep, and that's your goal, then you get less dopamine, you get more serotonin. The serotonin then goes to your pineal gland. Your pineal gland, that is now freshly crystallized and detoxified, will convert that serotonin into melatonin. And if it has the reserves, if it has the extra serotonin, it converts that serotonin into DMT. Those two actually get you into deep REM sleep, which allows the activation of the glymphatic system. which allows your brain to detoxify. Now, my point of today's conversation applies all of that so you can see what happens. And I was hoping that Roger was going to be on to share with us, but I'm going to take it.
I'm here.
Oh, he's here.
I'm here.
Yeah,
Hey,
buddy.
George.
Let's go. And Yelena's here, so we can talk about the fun second subject that if Yelena's open to it. But we go through this process, and then you have athletes that have been dealing with concussions.
Yes.
So Roger, I'm gonna let you talk through this because this is your experience. So you have this club you're working with, and you've had two players that have suffered concussions, serious concussions.
Yes. We had two professional players, and they weren't able to step on the ice anymore. And they had to the trauma center and headache center and all the centers for a couple months, and they couldn't help them. So once we started the approach with whatever you explained right now, with those three products, Clean Slate, Restore, and Zero In, we started slowly and they could build up all. I mean, Jelena is the professional about what happens within the body. What I did is just talk to the sportsmen. I just talked to them. I told them what they have to take because in the end, we went in slowly, but then we increased everything. And once they were able to let go of the fear, thankfully to, I think, Zero In, to step on the ice again, then it went up drastically. And so they ended up going back on ice and play sports again professionally. And this was a process of about like 6 months. So not really that long. It was 6 months, still 6 months, but it could have been career ending,
Well, they were, both of them were in concussion protocols for 6 months prior, correct?
Yeah.
And so if you're a professional athlete, I know in the United States, and an instance like that is career ending. And so
it's actually the same in Switzerland because ice hockey is one of the largest sports and the stadium is one of the most packed spectators. So it has 15 to 17,000 spectators a game. That's almost like the Lakers, So they have a lot of pressure. But then one player, he is in very close connection with the management since years, and he was the brand ambassador of the club. So they couldn't just let him go because this would be like the same if you just let LeBron James go, then everybody would be crazy. So they gave him a little bit more time. And once we started working with him, and once the athletic director and all the directors saw that he makes steps forward, they were like, okay, this is interesting. Let's do it.
Yeah, so Roger's mostly talking to the players because he is a sportsman and they respond well to him. And I talk to the women, to the wives, because the importance of Zero In is clear. They take it one time, they feel something, or sometimes it takes up to several days so they can build up, the production of the serotonin and dopamine, but they feel an instant change. What I explain to the wives usually is the importance of clean slate, so the body can regenerate. And something that's very important in my opinion as well is that we understand it's trauma. I'm a licensed trauma counselor. I had a practice in Zurich for 7 years until we went traveling the world, but that's another story. Thanks to Ruth. And so it's trauma. There's trauma in the cells, and they have a lot of fear. So your brain is trying to prevent you from having another trauma. The players would never admit that they have fear, but there's deep fear installed in the cells, but also in the brains. So when they take Clean Slate, which is able, again, I'm not a medical doctor, this is not a suggestion, it's just our experience. When we see that the cells are getting rid of, yes, it's toxins. The cells are able to regenerate better, but it's also on another level. It's an energetic level. And through quantum physics that has been used, we're able to regenerate the cells even better, because slowly but surely the cells are able to let go of trauma, and they're having an increase of not just energy, but higher frequency in the cell. So we have to understand that heavy toxins have the lowest frequency possible. And it's not just about discipline, it's also getting rid of everything that's low in your body, in your cells. And trauma is one of those things. So not just with players who have been through trauma, but also all kinds of humans. We all have some sort of trauma. Sometimes it's just birth trauma, sometimes more things happen, but we get rid of those low things. And when we stick through the process, sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes we can, see things and dream of things that we wish we didn't see from our subconscious. We become stronger. So I highly encourage not just the players, but everybody else to go through the process of cleansing on several levels that a clean slate can provide.
So what you're hitting on is the one thing that I've seen as well, that the heavy metals will actually hold on to the trauma. They'll hold
Yes.
on to the negative emotion. They'll hold on to the fear.
Yes.
Because of that positive charge and the negative aspect energetically of the heavy metals blocking these binding sites, and creating chaos in the brain and the central nervous system and the rest of the body, especially the liver, right? But those metals will also hold on energetically to the fear, to the trauma, to everything else. So what you're talking about is that pairing of the physical removal of those toxins that allow for the removal, when your intention is there and you're willing and capable of processing it, that you're able to let go of it and get back to doing the things that we're made to do.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Also, people oftentimes in the sports world, especially, they talk about discipline. You have to eat better, you have to do this, you have to do that. But when your cells, everything starts with the cell, are in a low frequency, it sounds abstract, but actually it's very clear. We are like batteries, and we need negative ions, which is positive energy in the popular world. So we recharge our batteries, and we can do that through different pieces of puzzle. One of them is certainly the root branch, because it has a lot of negative ions. So when we recharge, when we ground ourselves, we walk barefoot on grass, we can recharge ourselves just like batteries. When we eat a freshly picked apple, we can recharge ourselves. That's why a lot of people love the ocean or the mountains or just nature. And clean slate has the ability for us to have those negatively charged ions in our pockets, and when we can walk on grass for 20 minutes and recharge ourselves. So in the modern world, it's really, really important to consider all those things, that yes, we are our own healers. And coming back to the discipline thing, when we have low vibe cells, simply said, when we are not very charged and it's blocked through all kinds of things, metals, trauma, everything else, we can be as disciplined, because we resonate with things that are low just as we are. We resonate with the drama, we resonate with crappy foods. Smokers smoke even more, more, more. It's a never-ending cycle. And when we clean our bodies, suddenly we see people starting to eat better. They crave veggies, they crave greens, they crave better connections, they leave their husbands or wives,
What?
bad relationships.
Don't tell my wife.
I'm glad after 2 years of clean slate, Roger's still here.
See, that's the good part. So I'm going to transition, but Roger, I want to hit on one thing. So these two guys, but one of them being the focal point in the club, their performance has done what since starting on this? Not just going back to playing, but I've heard that they've improved.
Yeah, they increased. They increased a lot because, as Jelena said, the vibes were very, very low when they were not able to perform on the ice. I mean, it's the whole existence. It's
The
the
pressure
fear,
and
the
fear.
depression, even the pressure to provide food for the families. I mean, they have both families. This is very, very low vibing. And with the products, we could bring them back up. If you go to a trauma center, you know, and this is the same thing with the performance. Even if you go to a trauma center, even if you go to whatever center, whatever doctor, as soon as the club tells you you have to go to a coach, whatever, you know, motivational coach, then they know something is wrong. But with the products and just a little bit of turns, like having the right nutrition, you don't know how much crap they eat. Like
Mhm.
you don't know. Even the most professional sportsmen, what they eat, it's what I see on a daily basis, it's incredible. But then once you go in with the products and you slowly give them positive vibes, like small success stories, small success steps within their career, then they start to pick up and they come back stronger than they have been because they understand the process. Once they understand the process of how they have to clean the cells, what Restore is doing, how it regenerates their body much faster, what Gimme Back My Youth can do, and what Zero In will provide them. They are able to play on a whole other level. So yes, their time on the ice has increased and they're stronger and they're better. They came back stronger. I mean, one had a very, very difficult injury and he has some metal plates in his body right now, you know. And even though he was afraid in the beginning that clean slate, taking clean slate, blah, 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 you know, because of all the metal stuff, but right now he is not afraid anymore. He goes on the ice, he hits stronger than before, and the coaches are super happy. You know, like I'm on a regular basis with their athletic coaches. I'm like, what have you done with them? Have you worked physically? And I was like, no. We worked with their motivation, with their brain, with cleaning out the cells, you know. And so, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you have to say percentage, what would you
Percentage,
say?
I would say. I mean, it's hard to tell because I didn't know them before that well, you know. So I would say 25%, maybe
More than
Which is
before?
more than
absurd,
before,
right?
more
Which
than
is
before, which is
absolutely,
crazy.
yeah, which is crazy, you know, in
Yeah,
sports performance, but let alone elite athletes. You
yeah.
know, they're trying to tinker with 3 to 5% improvements, which can be game changing. But seeing that, so Yelena, are you ready? You ready to talk about the youngin?
Can I add one more thing?
Yes.
So we were able to measure through a system, it's called MetaVital, it's a bioresonance system. Some people know neurofeedback, etc. It's quite popular in the States. In Europe, not as much. I hope it will be. So we were able to measure with Clean Slate and Restore, taking at one time a cell regeneration of over 98% more than before. One time taking Clean Slate and Restore, your cells are able to regenerate 98% more than before. Restore as well is a very high frequency product. So that means it doesn't mean you're healthy after taking it one time. Every person is an individual, but it means your cells have the ability to work 98% more. So we have those scans, we have everything documented. I think I shared it in the group already if you want to look at it. And it's incredible.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
98%, that means it's almost double. That's pretty good.